And on June 14th, 1946, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God gave us Trump. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, fix this country, work all day, fight the Marxists, eat supper, then go to the Oval Office and stay past midnight at a meeting of the heads of state. So God made Trump. I need somebody with arms, strong enough to rustle the deep state, and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to ruffle the feathers, tame cantankerous World Economic Forum, come home hungry, have to wait until the First Lady is done with lunch with friends, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God gave us Trump. I need somebody who can shape an axe, but wield a sword, who had the courage to step foot in North Korea, who can make money from the tar of the sand, turn liquid to gold, who understands the difference between tariffs and inflation, will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, but then put in another 72 hours. So God made Trump. God had to have somebody willing to go into the den of vipers, call out the fake news for their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. The poison of vipers is on their lips, and yet stop. So God made Trump. God said, I need somebody who will be strong and courageous, who will not be afraid or terrified of the wolves when they attack, a man who cares for the flock, a shepherd to mankind who won't ever leave nor forsake them. I need the most diligent worker to follow the path and remain strong in faith and know the belief of God and country, somebody who's willing to drill, bring back manufacturing and American jobs, farm the lands, secure our borders, build our military, fight the system all day, and finish a hard week's work by attending church on Sunday. And then his oldest son turns and says, Dad, let's make America great again. Dad, let's build back a country to be the envy of the world again. So God made Trump.
Good evening, everyone. Trump posted that video, so I loved it so much. I thought that that would be a great thing to bring up for the show tonight. Happy Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. I am doing the show on my own tonight. Moxie's not joining us. She has a lot going on. And I'm not sure if I can talk about it, so maybe I won't, but you guys can wish her well in Telegram chat. But she will be skipping out tonight, and then her and I will cover the meme wars when she's back and ready to rumble. So let's get started with our show. I have a lot to cover around Vivek. And I don't even feel ready for this because there's so much information on him, but I'm going to do my best. And I would love your feedback in chat. I'll be watching chat. And yeah, I have some questions for you guys at the end, too. I'm kind of curious. I might do a couple of things with this, and I want to get your input. So let's go ahead and get started. The reason that I'm doing this now is because the Iowa caucuses are coming up and all the primaries are starting. And honestly, just a disclaimer, I am a staunch Trump supporter. So the purpose of this, isn't really to vet Vivek for president because I think that's already been done. He doesn't have any experience. I think my bigger thing is I want to vet him for his potential of getting close to Trump. So I want to go through some things that I've learned. And there are pros and cons of Vivek. In the past, I wasn't sure, what my personal opinion was, but I will share that at the end. You'll probably get it based off of what I'm covering here. But there are a lot of pros and cons. Some of the things we all know is that he says a lot of really good things. He says everything that we agree with. And he says nice things about Trump. He pledged to withdraw from the primary ballot in Colorado until they put Trump back on. But I think Vivek knows that he likely won't win the primary, so he doesn't really have anything to lose by saying that. And he's very charismatic, and he's very well spoken. He's very intelligent, book smart, very studied. And I'm really going to put that in quotes. Very studied. So much so that when he's speaking, he almost feels rehearsed. And I don't hear a lot of authenticity and sincerity. But he is very passionate when he speaks, but I'm not feeling that passion. I don't know if you guys know what I mean, but that is very subjective. So I would like to get some of the objective stuff that I've come across. So back in September, we did a Coffee and Conspiracies show, and I started touching on some of these things, and I just kind of want to touch on all of them because I felt like it could take up a whole show. And if you guys have information, that you've also dug on and want me to bring up, just put it in the comments because I'm monitoring the comments. I want to say hi to Herbie on Rumble. So that is our main place where we chat for the show. So head to rumble.com/QWP. We've got Herbie in chat and Rocker Lady, Magnolia. Really good to see you guys. Pocket Friend, Deplorable Mike. How are ya? And we've got Prayer Warrior. Happy Tuesday. All right, let's get in it. I have a lot of notes. I've got a few videos, tons of bookmarks. The first thing is I want to go back in time. So Vivek was a college student. Vivek actually went to Yale University, and he got an opportunity to be on, I don't know if it was CNN or another show, but he got an opportunity to ask a question of Al Sharpton during the presidential primaries, coincidentally. So it's interesting because he was very much a Democrat. So he was at the Democrats one, and he was asking questions. And I'll show that clip really quick.
Question here, go ahead. Reverend Sharpton, hello, I'm Vivek, and I want to ask you, last week on the show we had Senator Kerry, and this week, and the week before we had Senator Edwards, and my question for you is, of all the Democratic candidates out there, why should I vote for the one with the least political experience?
Well, you shouldn't, because I have the most political experience.
All right, so that was back in like 2003, 2004, for the 2004 election. And the interesting thing is that same year, that same show, that same event, none other than Pete Buttigieg was also there and also happened to be selected to ask a question. So Vivek was selected to ask a question. First of all, how did he, I'm going to have a lot of questions worth pondering. How did he get selected to ask a question? That's very curious. But so did Pete Buttigieg.
Congressman, why are you the only presidential candidate not attending tomorrow's youth-oriented Rock the Vote forum? And do you think young people's votes matter in your campaign?
They matter a lot. That's why I'm here tonight. And I've got to be in Iowa. I had a preset meeting that I've got to go to. I got to win Iowa. I'm going to win.
So that's super curious, right? I mean, that's kind of crazy that they were both at the same event, same year, both got selected to ask questions, and both happened to be in the political spotlight with Pete Buttigieg in the Biden administration, and Vivek, who suddenly appeared and announced his candidacy just not even a year ago. I think it was February of last year that he announced he was running for president. I could be wrong. It could have been the end of January. So don't quote me on that. So that was one thing. And I have to say, the first time I saw Vivek, something didn't sit right with me. Something felt off. And man, after digging, I can see why something fell off for me. But yeah, he was instantly on my radar. So one of the things to point out is after that, he's from Ohio, and he was never a registered Republican that we can find. And so that was super curious. So I'm going to bring up some background on that. I have to apologize because I've got a lot of information that I need to pull up. But basically, I don't even know if I have this. Sorry, I was so rushed after work today. I really apologize. So bear with me. But okay, I'm just going to have to speak to it. Well, maybe I can find it. All right, so I'll try to remember her name. Oh, I have it. So he donated in 2016 to Dina Grayson. She was running for Congress. And I'm going to share my screen. This gal is a never Trumper. She has TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. And here she is. She's posting about with Michael Cohen testifying against Trump. And she's got reactions to the testimony. So she says, this is my reaction when he talked about insurance and tax fraud. And she says, my reaction when Chairman Cummings said that he hoped that Cohen hearing would change Donald Trump. And she's got this, crazy look. This whole thread is interesting. My reaction when Cohen said that there might be a peaceful transition of power if Trump loses next. So she really hates Donald Trump. My reaction when I found out when Cohen admitted that Donald Trump committed insurance and tax fraud, which is a lie, but she's all excited about that. So basically my point being that he donated to her campaign, Vivek did, in 2016 when she was running for Congress. So that was something that I found. What you can do is you can look up on the FEC and you can see donations, political donations. And I do have some that I'm going to pull up his FEC item here. Oh, that is not it. That's the same link that I had. So that's one of the things that I found. The other thing is you can look up who is registered to vote, and you would think Vivek, if you listen to him speak, he says everything we say, and none of the candidates do except for Trump. And he copies things that Trump says, but he goes beyond that. He copies things that all of us are saying. So almost so much to convince us. Like he talks about the Fed, the globalists, George Soros, the WEF, and that's what I'm going to dig into next. I do have some financial stuff on him where he got his money, and we'll dig into his background. But I've got a lot of Soros sort of information. So one thing is he was a fellow at Paul and Daisy Soros Fellowship for New Americans, where they donate money for college funds. And Paul Soros is George Soros's brother. So that's the first connection. The next thing about this, though, is what they do. Well, I went to the wrong link. This is actually his homepage. They give a bio and say, you know, he was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, and his background, that he entered Yale Law School. And then what they highlighted here, though, is that, and this is like a segue into more of his background, that Roivant Sciences announced today it's working with regulators in the United States and around the world to advance clinical development of Gimsilumab, an antibody that could prevent and treat respiratory distress syndrome. Okay, so Roivant Sciences is the biotech pharmaceutical company that Vivek founded. He started it with nothing and somehow was able to get these billion-dollar investors to give money for his company, for his efforts. The thing of it is what Vivek says is that he started his company in order to cure cancer, find a cure for Alzheimer's disease, that kind of stuff. But this big announcement here is related to the clinical development of an antibody for ARDS, which has been widely connected to the COVID-19 virus. So that's not curing cancer. Why would Vivek invest in that and take advantage of the whole COVID thing? One of the other things that he had mentioned was, as far as the vaccines go, is that the right one? Oh, this is not the right one, but oh, yes, it is. Yes. So this is a biotechnology. It's at bio.org, and it talks about Vivek doing this COVID-19 research. And there is a quote from Vivek on here. The video, this was a podcast that he was on, and they no longer have the audio for some reason. But here, Vivek says, of course, the holy grail in COVID-19 breakthroughs would be a universal, widely available, safe, and effective vaccine. He also was pushing for the people to follow the mask mandates during COVID. So that's just another quick thing I wanted to bring up. The other Soros connection, Vivek, there's an article, and I know it's Huffington Post. This is actually on Yahoo News, but Vivek paid to have the Soros stuff removed from Wikipedia. So you know Wikipedia, it gets cleaned out all the time, and so I just stumbled across this one because it doesn't surprise me, because he made a big deal about the WEF having him listed on their website, And he says he got tough with them and he made them remove him, and they sent an apology letter. Well, so I kind of want to show that as well and talk about why would the WEF be willing to send an apology letter? That would be unheard of. I mean, think about it. Would they really? I'm not saying he's lying, but I'm just hinting at a question in my mind is there an agenda at play? If you were to, so we've been in information warfare for several years, well, probably decades, but the latest since Trump walked down that escalator. And the information warfare is crazy with the news and the propaganda and wanting to censor people and all of that. So if you were on the other side and saying, well, the only way that we can get the United States is through infiltration, that's been happening. We've been seeing it happen. We've been seeing it happen over several years. It even was happening like when Obama took office and he brought all his people, all those globalists in. So you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but I believe they want to infiltrate Trump. I don't think Vivek really wants to run for president, or he is running for president, but I don't believe he knows he's not going to win because President Trump is ahead of everybody and Trump is going to be the nominee. Why would Vivek be the only presidential candidate that is espousing pro-Trump? He talks nicely about Trump. He says how great Trump is, although I have a little bit of opposite information on that as well. So back to where I was with the Soros connection. So this is the Wikipedia, and then I have a video I want to share that is on Twitter, and I just need to cue it up to 1 minute in so we don't have to watch the whole thing because it's a 4-minute video. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but this goes hand in hand with that letter and him talking about the WEF.
Public.
So
where every citizen's voice.
Let me pause this and get it to about a minute. Where are we at? It's not showing me the time. Oh, come on. No, it's spinning. We can't have you spin. All right. So basically, I'm just going to speak to it. I have no idea why my CPU feels like it wants to take up 100% just for having that open. But I'm just looking. Sorry, I'm by myself, so I'm a little trying to make sure I've got everything for you guys. Okay, so basically what he's saying in this video is that the WEF had him on their website, and he insisted that they, here we go.
On the
I just need to refresh.
Movement.
Hang on.
It politicizes our capital markets, or globalist institutions like the World Economic Forum that erode on the sovereignty of self-governing republics like the United States of America. So it was a particular mystery when the World Economic Forum, after I had written against their agenda through my book Woke Inc. and otherwise, happened to name me on a list of so-called young global leaders with other so-called successful young Americans and young people around the world. I rejected their award. I declined it. I said that I deeply disagreed with the values of the World Economic Forum and that I wouldn't be a good fit for inclusion. I said it respectfully. A few months later, I was told that my name showed up on their website anyway. I contacted them. I told them to take it down. they had the gall to still leave my name. Yes, I was a successful person in this country, so they thought they could use my name and image along with people like Mark Zuckerberg or others who they had named, Elon Musk, that they had named in the past. I wasn't going to let them get away with that.
Okay, so this is what he does. He talks a big game. He tries to sound tough. He also said that they sent him an apology letter. Now, you know the WEF. So this just feels like the most ridiculous thing. We write to apologize for this mistake. The forum acknowledges that this continued inclusion on Young Global Leaders document may have incorrectly implied an association with the forum. And for that reason, the forum apologizes for its unintentional error. So they apologize twice in this letter, which is laughable. So Rocker Lady says, I personally think he's a plant. Yeah, he has ties to WEF. This is what I'm doing. So, all right. So I'm going to continue with this. And I've got one more thing. Oh, that's the same thing. Okay. So he has a spokesperson also that works with him. And she was sent a letter from a Fortune reporter that they said, we're working on an article that explores some of Vivek's investments when he worked at QVT Financial, which I'll get into. We have no evidence of insider trading, but several instances it appears Ramaswamy made some suspiciously profitable trades, and we want to offer the campaign a chance to respond. So they give him 24 hours, which I think is standard. So she just asked them to take her off the list, and there was a back and forth there. But I found this interesting because there is information on his investments. So what I'm going to do is take this off and talk just a little bit about his background. So he went to Yale. And then he worked for this hedge fund company. I think it was a hedge fund company or an investment company. And that is where the question of QVT comes in. So it's not clear when he started working there. He may have even started working there while he was in college, finishing up college. So that's like, how does a college student get a really lucrative job at a investment company just right out of college? This is where his whole journey began. And so there was a lot of suspicion with this QVT and how it relates to his Roivant technologies that he created right after he left QVT. So this is a little complicated, so I'll go through it fast, but I'm definitely going to be publishing a Substack with all the details, so it'll be easier to follow the whole timeline, because I feel like I'm kind of hopping around a little bit, but okay, there's this article that there were questionable stock trade patterns in his Wall Street past. So it talks about while he was at Yale, he also worked for, it is a hedge fund, QVT Financial. That's the name of it. In the span of 1 year, Ramaswamy and his company invested in 3 companies. And this Pharmaset, which I'm assuming that's going to be a biotech company like his biotech company was, Inhibitex, and Anades, all firms in the high esoteric field of hepatitis C treatments with biotech. Yep, so he started with biotech right away, right when he got out of college. So all of these were acquired in major takeovers, with Ramaswamy fortuitously buying in or dramatically upping the QVT's stake in these companies right around the time that the secret acquisitions talks began. So they're not saying he's doing insider trading, but there's a lot of suspicious activity around the companies that he worked for, how he got huge investors, how he got so luckier than any other successful person who actually did build themselves up from nothing. So they have his tax forms, and so he got massive returns, up to 5,000% in some cases, on his investments, generating millions of dollars. His annual income jumped from 5 and 6 figure salaries to more than 2.2 million and 1.9 million in just a couple of years. And he's got his tax returns and everything else, but they kind of do point out, and I know this is Newsweek, but this is actually a really good article. Not even John D. Rockefeller, Elon Musk, or Peter Thiel, or Warren Buffett have had such whopping returns. How is it possible that he could have been so lucky? Was it dumb luck? But basically, it's a little curious on there. And he happened to start up his biotech company right after all of that. So the timing is super suspicious. The way he got his money, the investors, there were investors. He has, let me find his investors. Billionaire Jeffrey Epstein Associate gave large donations to Vivek Ramaswamy and several Dems. I think this is not what I was looking for, but but it showed up for me anyway. This is related more to his campaign. And I'll get back to his big donors, but basically they were very large investment companies. I couldn't find that they were related to Vanguard or BlackRock like some people claimed. If you guys have sauce on that, or you know about that, let me know. But they were very, very big investment companies that just happened to invest in him. Now, the thing of it is, my suspicion on a lot of that is for this campaigning. But he happened to have a billionaire tied to Jeffrey Epstein donating to his campaign and a lot of Democrat campaigns. So, was this Durbin? I can't remember who that is. I'm trying to, yep. Oh, Glenn Dubin. Okay. New York City-based hedge fund manager Glenn Dubin was who has given money to Vivek for his campaign. And then this is a part of, this is a graph. I need to make it bigger. You know how I was talking about how he got 5,000% returns and all of that? So this is from 2008 through 2012. So he graduated in 2007 or 2008. So he gradually, so he stays pretty flat here as far as his stocks. And starting in 2010, September of 2010 through January of 2012. So that's just a year and 3 months. Look how lucky he got with his stocks. Super curious. Super curious. All right. So, what is this? Sorry, some of these bookmarks. Oh, okay. Never mind. Yale. So there's a Yale box account where you can check out his tax returns. There's 20 years worth of tax returns. And then just want to see if there's something else I want to cover before I get to the next topic of his. Oh, Fortune. Yeah, there is. All right. So Fortune did an article on him, and he was on the list of 2016's America's richest entrepreneurs at 600 million. So he was almost a billionaire when he started his pharmaceutical biotech company. How does somebody get that lucky in their investments? I mean, wouldn't that be like a red flag or something that the government would be wanting to look into? That kind of sus. I don't know. All right. Let's see what else I got here. Okay. So I want to get into the fact that just talk really quick before he started campaigning, the timing of everything. So in 2017, I noticed that did I save that? I'm going to pull it up while I talk. He created his website just really shortly after Trump became president. He didn't create his campaign website, just his regular Vivek Ramaswamy website. And I'm letting it load. Here we go. So the timing of this, it was created February 5th. And Trump was sworn in just 2 weeks prior to that. So 2 weeks after Trump becomes president, he creates VivekRamaswamy.com and does nothing with it. So if you go there, if you go to his website, which I will just go there, it is just a parked website at GoDaddy. There's nothing there. So that's the first thing. The second thing, which I don't need to pull anything up for, is he leaves his biotech company, I think, in 2021, after Joe Biden is sworn in. And it is required that you're 36 years old to be able to run for president. So he is 37 years old this year. So when he announced last year, he had just turned 36, so he could announce that he's running for president. So within that time, after 2021, when he left his company, not only that, I think I don't know if he stayed on the board or if he still had money invested in the company, but in 2022, was it 2022 or 20? Yeah, I think 2022 was when his first book was put out. So all these years before then, we hadn't heard from Vivek Ramaswamy. He wasn't in the Republican movement or conservative movements. He was actually the opposite. He was doing donating to Democrat people who are running for Congress, hanging with them. He had investors, that Dubin guy, that also gave to Democrats. Very suspicious. So then his first book comes out, and of course it's as conservative as you can get. Woke Inc. Going from nobody that we heard of to creating a controversial book, and how does he get known, right? They're putting him out there because of his book. And who's pushing, though? Who is able to give him enough PR to get noticed? That's what I want to know. I don't know the answer to that question, but that's a question that I have. And that's what got him in the spotlight, was that book. He went from nothing to writing a book to suddenly people didn't even really hear about him till after he announced. Nobody knew who he was. And I didn't even start digging into him till last summer when the media started interviewing him. And who was interviewing him? MSNBC, CNN. You know what I mean? Like all of those left wing. Oh, and I do have clips of some of his interviews, but what I noticed in his interviews is they didn't interrupt him. They let him talk. It's super interesting. And I don't know if I have them all queued up or not. Okay. That's okay. So that's where I want to go from there, because he wrote a book, then he wrote 2 more books, like I think his book came out in 2021, because I think he wrote one in 2022, then 2023, and those didn't take off as much as the Woke Inc. book, because I didn't really hear about those books. I just happened to see that he had 2 more books. But yeah, so I've got some clips to show, and okay. So here's an MSNBC one. There's things that I notice with CNN and MSNBC is that they do not interrupt him at all. And I'm not really showing this as related to the content, but just how the media treats him different compared to.
I imagine a debate is going to be had here. Vivek, I'm very curious what you thought of what President Xi said over the weekend, but perhaps more importantly, what you think American companies, and I know you have taken issue with American companies who've spoken out historically about issues here in the United States, but have not taken issue with some of the things going on in China. What do you think those companies are supposed to be doing, saying, or not?
So look, I think we are now in the worst of all worlds, where you can.
Okay, so they don't ask him a very tough question, controversial question. I'm not going to play this whole thing because he goes on and on, like Vivek blathers a lot when he talks. He goes on and on. And one of the things I noticed as a part of his strategy when he talks is that he does blather. He goes off topic, and I think it's to show his intellect, and always talks about his executive experience. And one thing I want to point out is he touts that. And I talked about this, I think, back in September, but he only had 1 drug product approved by the FDA, and it didn't take off. He had no successful products. So how do you get billions of dollars for a company and almost $1 billion for yourself if you don't really have a successful product? So his CEO executive experience doesn't really show any fruit. You know what I mean? I'm not seeing fruit out of that. So anybody can say they're a CEO and have a bunch of money pumped at them, but it's another thing to see results. It's just kind of, I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Wolf and Mega Gear says Pocket Friend. Yes, that is so true. Rocker Lady, if he's involved in biotech, he knows Fauci, which makes him even more suspect than ever. He probably does know Fauci, right? Did you research him, Herbie? Oh, I want to know what came out of your research. We should chat. So, yeah, I've got more to show. And I like to be a little more organized, so my apologies. I don't know what this is. I'm just going to pull up what I've got. What did I bookmark? I have so many. All right. Okay, that one I really didn't want to show. All right. Oh, here we go. Ramaswamy's deep ties to right-wing kingpins are revealed. So this is true. He brands himself as an outsider, but he has close ties to some establishment folks. And I think that's important to know. A lot of the big donors, and here's what I want to know. He got invited to, he was in a coffee shop or something, and he was planning his book, and there just so happened to be some Republican in this coffee shop, and they got to talking about politics, and this Republican invited him to some event, and that's how he got in to start getting noticed by Republicans. So number one, like, there's no details. Where was the coffee shop? Like, what city was it in? Why was he there? Why was this Republican congressman there? And what were the details on the event? And, like, it's kind of suspicious that he happened to be there and just happened to strike up a conversation talking about his book that was coming out. So I'm suspicious about everything with this guy. Sorry, but I mean, my gut just was like, my radars were going off last summer. All right. So yes, I already mentioned his book, Woke Inc. And then I did that one. One of the crazy things that he's proposed is to change our Constitution to raise voting to the age of 25. But, I just don't know if that's even worth chatting about. I feel like he tries to come up with different ideas to try to get some attention, but none of them really stick. And then here we go. That's not it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so recently, and this is related to Trump, so I need to talk about Trump a little bit. So recently, Ramaswamy's campaign stopped spending money on TV ads right before the caucuses, like right before Iowa and New Hampshire. Isn't that when you would spend the most money? I'm thinking. But they stopped as if he's out of money. And so I started looking around, and I noticed that Trump posted about him. And Trump posted this article and said, Vivek will endorse me. He's a good man, and he's not done yet. This is why I want to expose, because I think when somebody likes Trump and they're nice to Trump and they say nice things about Trump, he is just a stalwart for those people. Trump is, and he trusts very easily. And so I want to make sure that we know everything about this man. But related to Trump, Vivek even though he says he loves Trump and he supports everything Trump did and he wants to finish Trump's wall, and even though he says he's the better candidate than Trump, here's what he said about Trump back in 2021 after J6. I hope you guys can see this. What Trump did last week was wrong, downright abhorrent, plain and simple. I've said it before and did so in my piece. When he talks about his piece, he did a Wall Street Journal op-ed right after January 6th. And what he's saying in his op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, I do believe I have the Wall Street Journal op-ed. But what he said in that article that he wrote was that Trump didn't lose because of fraud. Trump lost because of big tech influencing the election. And he's been saying that he hasn't seen enough evidence to think that there was any voter fraud. So even though he's saying, yeah, the election was stolen, he's blaming it on big tech. Yes, and the only thing he blames it on is the suppression of the Hunter laptop story. So, but there was rampant censorship on all platforms, not just Hunter Biden's story. There was rampant fraud on video, caught on video. So how he can say he hasn't seen enough evidence to see that was stolen is crazy. It's beyond me. So, so that's one thing he said about Trump. And then MSNBC then asked him, after he posted this, what Trump did last week was wrong. And this was in response to Molly Hemingway posting about the Constitution and Vivek. And she actually posted his article. Yep. I just have to. I thought I bookmarked it. I know I did. I just don't know what I called it. So this is his article. It's called "Save the Constitution from Big Tech." And then he said how what Trump did is so wrong. And then after that, MSNBC interviewed him, and they were trying to ask him. He says, I want you to answer my question. 3 times I've asked it. What did Donald Trump do that was downright abhorrent? So he never did answer that question. Not even going to bother playing that video. And then one of the things that he backtracked on as well is the Ukraine situation. So he says something, and then a couple years ago, whatever, today, when he hears how people feel about that, then he changes it. So this is one of the things in that arena. He said, Putin is a bully. The way to stop a bully is to punch him in the nose. This is related to Russia and Ukraine. But you can't do that when you're dependent on the bully for, say, natural gas. And we'll face the same dilemma on steroids when China invades Taiwan. All right. I have a video of him talking about Taiwan and China. And the thing of it is he's got some dangerous foreign policy. And I touched on it in September's podcast, but I didn't show the video. I need to pull up this video, and it's a long one. Oh, good. It kind of left off where I was.
In Western.
So this is Hugh Hewitt interviewing Vivek. And I just want to set the stage a little bit. They're talking foreign policy. And what's really important is I want you to listen very, very carefully to how Vivek answers Hugh Hewitt's question on war with China.
Question, and his response to me was very specific. Ask Vivek, would you fire the first shot? If they move against Taiwan and they have not hit American assets, would you fire the first shot? Because that means general war in the Western Pacific and in the Indian Ocean. And if you fire the first shot, do you think we're in a position to win that conflict?
So here's the deeper answer to that question. There is a difference between we have before semiconductor independence and afterwards. My response changes dramatically.
Okay, I don't know if you caught that, but what he said is semiconductor independence. So what he's saying is it depends. It depends on whether we have control of the semiconductors or not. And that is such a dangerous thing to say. He goes on. This is a very long video, so I'm not going to play it. It's a 42 minutes. But he goes on to say that if it's before 2028, he would not fire the first shot. But if it's after 2028, he would fire the first shot. That's what he said. He literally said that. So his foreign policy, very dangerous. And you know what Trump always does. He says, I'm not going to give away my strategy. But yeah. The other thing related to China is that he did business with China and now he wants to ban businesses working with China. So there's a lot of that back and forth. Let's see. Man, I've got so much to share. I can't wait to put out my Substack on this. I have it like halfway done. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to figure out which things I want to show you guys because I have more than what I'm actually going to. I know what I want to do. So a lot of people heard President Trump talking about Vivek. Number one, he did that truth that said he's a good man and blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people thought that the way Trump answered this question was that he would consider Vivek for VP. But I heard it differently. So let's listen to that real quick.
Last question. You said that you weren't going, but you would be watching the debate for a vice president. Have you thought of Vice President Ramaswamy?
Well, I think he's great. Look, anybody that said I'm the best president in a generation, I don't know, you'll have to define generation, but it's a long time. And he said it a couple of times, and he said it in 100 years. So I have to like a guy like that. You know, I can't get upset with him, but he's a smart guy. He's a young guy. He's got a lot of talent. He's a very, very intelligent person. He's got good energy, and he could be in some form of something. I tell you, I think he'd be very good. I think he's very good. I think he's really distinguished himself. He's starting to get out there a little bit. He's getting a little bit controversial. I got to tell him, be a little bit careful, because some things you have to hold in just a little bit, right? But he's got a lot of good energy, I will tell you, and he's been very nice to me, and you know, most of them have, other than Christie. Don't forget, Christie left with an 8% approval rating.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
He left with, he was.
So he said he's great. He's young. He's controversial. He's going to be in something, but he never said, yes, I'm considering him for VP. So that was going around that Trump had said he would consider him, but he didn't. And the other thing that I want to point out is, you know how the rhinos are sort of working with the globalists to try to take Trump down, and honestly, they're working against our country. Well, Romney is one of those rhinos, right? So here's the thing. This is really odd. I'm going to play a clip and then I'll tell you why I think this is odd.
Who do you like in the Republican field?
Anybody. You know, I'd be happy to support virtually any one of the Republicans, maybe not Vivek, but the others that are running would be acceptable to me, and I'd be happy to vote for them. I'd be happy to vote for a number of the Democrats too. I mean, it would be an upgrade from, in my opinion, from Donald Trump and perhaps also from Joe Biden. Look, I like President Biden.
Okay. So what I want to point out here is that he went out of his way to say anybody but Trump and Vivek. And the thing of it is Vivek was fairly new, not a lot known about him. So why would he highlight that? It's almost as if they want to push people towards him. So I'm very suspicious. You know me, I'm sort of a conspiracy theorist when it comes to this. All right, so he does say all the right things and he blathers. He has some tactics. I'll put it in the Substack because we're already at an hour, but I have some examples of how he uses certain buzzwords and how he uses psychology whenever he speaks, whether it's in the debates or in interviews or different things like that. One of the strategies he uses is to say, "I'm the only one who ever blah blah blah." Doesn't matter what it is. Insert topic. I'm the only one fighting for blah blah blah. I'm the only one leading in blah blah blah. So there's definitely, I see the strategy. It's like almost like so transparent to me. And I'm going to call that out in the Substack too. But one of the other things I wanted to point out with that whole China thing is if you guys watch that video, you have to watch it because he says, "I'm going to get India on our side." And he's talking about attacking China, getting India on our side. And the thing of it is BRICS. Like India and China are aligned. That's like saying, I'm going to have this one NATO country go against this other NATO country, and it would never happen because it's NATO, right? So that was one other thing that I noticed. And then let's see. Yeah, I already said he lives in Ohio. He was never registered as a Republican. Neither was his wife, by the way. And I want to give credit on that last video was from MJ Truth. MJ Truth puts out some really good stuff. So follow him if you will. And then I guess the question I have before I get to my bottom line is I'm thinking about doing a montage video of his buzzwords and those little idioms that he does, and it's very clear if we put it all together. But would that be something that would be interesting to you and helpful to share to others to try to get out there so that the Trumps could eventually, hopefully, see a video like that? And same with the Substack with the details. Do you think that would be helpful for sharing information and getting information out there? Because I do think he's not running for president. I think he's trying to infiltrate the Trumps. So let me know what you think. Let's see, Herbie. Let's see, what are you guys saying? I'm missing all the chat. I'm sorry, I was talking. All right. The topics. Oh, you researched the same topics that I'm putting out there tonight. Great. You remember the video? Oh, that's when it got your attention. Why do you say Glenn Beck is a menace? I have to tell you something. A lot of people are against Glenn Beck, and maybe he does things not right all the time, but I have to tell you, he's like one of the people I think that woke a lot of people up way back in like the late 2000s when he was on Fox News. He got really popular. He was calling out Soros, Obama, all of the Obama shenanigans. He tied everything together in the Marxist playbook and the communist playbook. And I have to tell you, he's like, you know those memes with the the guy with like going crazy with the cigarette in his hand, and he's got, you know, all the connecting the dots behind him on the board. That's what Glenn Beck was doing. And so I respect your opinion on Glenn, but man, that guy has put out a lot of exposure before anybody else was. So but yeah, I have a ton of videos I didn't show, but I'll put them in the Substack. I'm just going to quick review my notes and see if there's anything important I wanted to call out. Yeah, he's definitely funded by the establishment. He's not, he acts like he's an outsider, that he's against the establishment, but he's been funded by the establishment. I have FEC. That's what I wanted to show. So that is one more thing I wanted to call out. So he has raised, how much money has he raised? I can't remember if it was 15 million or 20 million, but anyway, no, it was more than that. I think it was like $25 million that he's raised. And if you go to the SEC, FEC, Federal Election Commission, you can see where that money's coming from. He gave himself a $15 million loan. So most of that money's from himself. And he touts that he's self-funded. And that was the connection I wanted to make. He made all this money in his businesses from these big investors. Is that a way to launder campaign money? That's my question. I'm not saying that's what happened. Allegedly. Could he allegedly have gotten money for campaigning for president through these funds? And that this was planned a long time ago, kind of like that was planned for Obama a long time ago. If you remember, they groomed Obama to be in that role. Was Vivek groomed, but not groomed to be a Democrat president, groomed to be an infiltrator? That's my question. Because it seems obvious to me. And when I look at like the money he's gotten in, there's 5 million in small donations, I think. And then there's some bigger PACs donating to him as well. So follow the money. And where did his money come from? Himself? Well, where did his self money come from? His businesses and investments and the investors that invested in his business. See what I'm saying? So, and he was a big Dem before that, and just only 2016 he gave to a Democratic candidate. So I think we just need to expose that. We need to, I don't know how, I don't have the attention of the Trumps. So when I put my Substack out, I hope you guys share it, like this video and share this video. My whole, I guess, way I want to round this up is by saying I no longer am confused as to what to think. I don't think he's running for president. Like I said, I think he's auditioning to get into the good graces of Trump. And I believe, this is just my opinion, that he's infiltrated the movement. So the timeline kind of shows that. If you disagree with me, I think that's great. That's fine. We can talk about that. But yeah, it does look like a playbook, doesn't it, Pocket Friend? Like, just like a playbook. It feels like it. Anyway, I went over an hour and I was trying to keep these shows shorter this year. I apologize, but there was a lot to cover. If you guys have more information, please follow me on Nev's channel, if you will, on Telegram or on Twitter at Nevs TV, or I'm on Truth Social at Nevs. And let's chat. Feel free to either message me or respond to one of my posts, and if you've got more information that I should include on my Substack, and send it to me. I would love to get it all, because I just want to get this out there. It's really like, I'm passionate. I want to get that out there. So with that, I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't, I was trying to follow the chat. But I do love you all, and I really, really appreciate you joining. And I'm not sure what we're going to talk about next week. It might depend on what's going on in the news. There's a lot of Epstein stuff that I really want to talk about, but we'll see what happens. But have a good night. Thank you so much again for joining. Love you guys. Good night.
I can see clear.